Good afternoon, Renaissance Club Sport and Formula 3 family. My name is Lori Lever, and I am a elite personal trainer at Renaissance Club Sport in Aliso Viejo. And I am here to talk to you today about a lower leg lockdown. And the reason I'm calling it a lockdown is we're going to focus on 4 movements of the lower body that's going to work the legs in different ways. We're going to start with our basic squat, a split squat, or actually a lunge. We like to call it a split squat. We are also going to work on a deadlift. I'm going to show you how to do a single leg, but we can always use one leg to modify, for those of you who need to modify, and then a step up. Now, I know some of you don't have equipment, and that's absolutely okay. You don't need equipment. But if you don't have equipment, you can use things that are around your own house. So I will show you one piece of equipment I'm going to use today, or not equipment, but something from my house that I had that I think is great for a lower body workout, because we like to have a little bit extra weight when we're working those big muscle groups of the legs. So what I have today is one of these big water jugs. So I can hold this water jug here for my squats and my lunges. For my deadlifts, I'll be able to hold it just like this. Now, if you don't have one of those water jugs, absolutely that's okay. You can use the single gallons of water. You can pick up anything. You can load up some of your plastic bags with cans or rice or things like that and hold the handles of plastic bags, but don't put so much stuff in it that it's going to break. That would be kind of a disaster. If you do have equipment, there's a lot of different stuff you can use to work your legs at home. You've got a weighted ball. Maybe your kids have something that's a little bit heavier. Weighted ball works just as well. Ankle weights. A weighted bar. So you might be able to go find anything in your garage that is an actual weighted bar. And then I have my chair. That's what I'm going to do my step up on. I'm also going to do some modified squats on that chair. So all of these things, a household chair, a gallon of water, soup cans, wine bottles, pick up your baby, pick up your kids, and squat and lunge with them. It all works, I promise you. So first, I want to go over some tips on the squat, how we're going to make sure that we get our squat done properly. When we're squatting, we have a tendency to see a lot of knees falling in and outward as people are squatting. That usually has a lot to do with their foot stability. Trainers, you'll see us, we will watch people with squats without their shoes on, because that's when we start to see all of that movement in the foot and the instability of that foot and ankle. So it's what we're going to do when we squat. We're going to take our feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit more. You kind of want to have a natural toe. They don't have to be facing completely forward, completely straight, but you don't want them all the way out unless, of course, we're trying to focus on a little bit more inner thigh. In our squat, we are going to focus on our big toe as we're squatting down. I want you to anchor the big toe into the floor, and as you squat down, I want your hip joint and your knee joint to move simultaneously as much as possible. And our knees are going to go out slightly towards our pinky toes. Not way out, just a little bit towards that pinky toe or the toe right before it. So anchor that big toe. And as we squat down, we're going to move our hips and knees. Again, I'm engaging my big toe into the floor as I slightly press my knees out, trying to keep my feet as stable as possible. That's going to prevent my knees from going in or out too far as I squat. Also too, another tip on your squats, you want to maintain a nice flat back here. So you'll typically see when people squat this big arch in their lower back. We're only going to squat as far as we can maintain that nice flat back. A squat has a lot to do with flexibility, ankle flexibility, knee and hip flexibility. If you're lacking in either one of those, you're going to have issues with the depth of your squat, and that's okay. We can talk about that in another video. The next thing I want to talk about is a split squat, or what we call a lunge. We can make our lunges more quad dominant, quadriceps in the front of the leg, or more posterior chain dominant, which is going to be more glute and hamstring focused. So first of all, I'm going to step back a little bit, so I hope you guys can still see me. I want you to be able to see my legs. I'm going to step back into my lunge. What's really important is I want to make sure that I have a 90-degree bend in this knee, and when I come up, I don't straighten it. That puts a lot of stress on the body. So we want to make sure we keep that knee bent when we come up from this lunge. Also too, when we're going down, we're going to keep that 90 degrees. I'm going to go straight down. Notice my shoulders are pretty much over my hips. If they're forward a little bit, that's okay. But if we're working on a quad dominant squat, and we want to work our quads a little bit more, remember the entire leg is working, but I might want my quads to work a little bit more, I'm actually going to shift my knee forward slightly. That's okay to go over your ankle a little bit. Shift your knee forward slightly, maintain that upright upper body, and we'll just lunge down and up. Notice when I come up, I'm maintaining that nice soft knee in the back rather than straightening it out. Again, nice flat back, tucking my pelvis. Now if I want to make this more glute, posterior chain dominant, I am going to actually shift my knee back closer to right over my ankle, and the weight's going to shift in the heel. It's not going to come out of the ball of the foot necessarily, but more in the heel. And I'm going to lean forward now. So a little bit of hip flexion, same thing. I'm going to move down and up, driving up through my heel. And that's going to create a little bit more glute and hamstring activation. So we're working the entire leg, but if you really want to focus on more glutes, ladies, gentlemen, if you want to focus on more quads, just changing that knee position a little bit is going to help you. Next, we have a deadlift, all right? So a deadlift is a little bit different. I'm going to do technically a single leg deadlift. A deadlift is a hinge from the hip, and the really important thing, if you're trying to focus on glutes in a deadlift, is you want to have a slight bend in the knee of the working leg. So if I'm going to do a single leg deadlift, and I'm going to show you the modified first, I'm going to kickstand this leg that's not working, which will be my left. The leg that's working is going to be towards you. I'm going to slightly bend this knee, and I'm going to keep it bent. This is going to take it out of the hamstrings and low back, because as we're straightening our leg, we're lengthening our hamstring and working more low back. As I bend this knee, I'm going to work a little bit more glute engagement here. So I'm going to maintain that flat back we discussed, and I'm just going to lean forward. Basically, my hips go back, and then my hips come forward. I'm going to try and maintain that knee. Hips go back, and hips come forward. The one cue I like to tell people when they start rounding in their back in a deadlift, if I shine my chest up to an object in front of me, I just flatten my back out a little bit. So that's really important. Last in this workout, we're going to be doing a step up. You can use a bench. If you have a box, a plyo box, you can use a plyo box. But if you're at home, a normal dining room chair is going to do. The reason a step up is so great, especially for the glutes, is because the glute is what extends the hip. So my glute is going to need to do a lot of work because of the height of my leg here to extend my hip up to that standing position. I'm going to make sure my entire foot is on the chair or the bench, whatever I'm using, and I'm going to drive up and balance, and I'm going to slowly lower myself down. So it takes a lot more work for that glute because my hip is in such a flexed position. Now, the higher I go, the more difficult it makes it, but also it makes it harder on the knee. So you want to be careful there. So again, I'll show you up. You can add a balance factor if you want to make it more difficult. And if you don't want to do that, you can just do a simple split lunge to balance rather than working on the chair. So you also have options with weights. I'm going to use the water jug today to do some things, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm not going to use music because I want you guys to be able to hear me. What I recommend after I show you these exercises is we are going to do, you would do 4 sets of these exercises, depending on how much weight you have. If you have weights at home and you're using heavy weight, I would like to see like 8 to 10 reps. Go nice and heavy, and we're gonna do 4 sets. But here's what I'm gonna ask you, because I know a lot of you will go, but what about 3 sets? I wanna do 3 sets. I heard we always do 3 sets. We're gonna put a lot more rest, recovery time in between our sets. So I'm not gonna actually do that today for purpose of the video, but when we're lifting heavy, especially when we're lifting heavy and we're lifting those large muscle groups, we wanna take proper recovery time in between our exercises, okay? 3 to 4 minutes is actually ideal. Now, I know that sounds crazy, like what am I gonna do in 3 to 4 minutes? You can always do something else. You can hold a plank, you can do some sit-ups, you can do something else. A lot of you are gonna get on your phone and read your email or check your text. You can do that too. But we wanna allow that muscle group to recover before we go on to our next set. That way we can get the most out of each set and rep that we're doing. Hopefully that all makes sense. So I'm just gonna go through these basic movements. If you don't have anything or any equipment, that's absolutely okay. What you can do is you're gonna do more reps. So I would say between 15 and 20. If you're a beginner, I would stay between the 10 and 12 rep range and then work your way up. Again, you're gonna decide depending on how much weight you are using. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab that water jug. I'm gonna hold it here. I'm gonna relax my shoulders. I'm always gonna engage my core, that's super important. Got those feet in position. Remember what we talked about. I'm engaging into my big toe. My knees are gonna go out slightly towards my pinky toe, and I'm gonna squat down and up. And I'm gonna do this, since I have light weights, 15 times. Hopefully you're doing it with me. You could be playing your own music in the background. Again, we're keeping that nice flat back. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see me. I'm only gonna go as low as I can maintain my flat back. I think I have about 5 more. Here we go. Feels so good to move. So good to have all of you here. I'm so happy to see you. Remember, engage that big toe, engage that big toe. Knees go out slightly. Keep that chest lifted. Perfect. So now we're gonna move onto that split squat or the lunge. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do 8 of each, quad dominant, and 8 of the more glute dominant lunges. And I will do the working leg is the one that you're gonna see in the front. Bending that knee. We're gonna go quad dominant, so I'm gonna keep my shoulders up mostly, and then I'm going to put that knee a little bit forward, and I'm gonna do that lunge down and up, straight down and up. Again, I don't wanna completely straighten that leg as I come up. Nice work. Good, I'm gonna do 2 more because of course I'm not really counting, I'm focusing on talking to you. Perfect. Now I'm gonna readjust that lunge, shift my weight back, my knees more over my ankle. I'm gonna lean forward more, so now it's putting my weight over that working leg. And I'm gonna do the same lunges here. So I'm gonna feel this burn more in my glute because I'm leaning forward and I've shifted my weight back towards my heel more. Awesome, perfect. So even with just a water jug, I can feel my heart rate elevating and my legs working. Remember, those of you at home that don't have weights, it still works even if you don't have them. So let's do the other side. I'm gonna make sure I even you out. I'm gonna step back, get myself in position. Another thing, you don't need this big wide stance. Bring that back leg in a little bit. Doesn't have to be a huge stance. Here we go. We're gonna do that quad dominant lunge. First, I'm gonna shift that knee forward, keep my shoulders up. Don't forget to breathe. Good, I'll do 2 more because I think I did 10 on the other side. And then I'm gonna shift that weight back into the heel, so the knee's more over the heel. I'm gonna lean forward, flatten my back out by keeping my chest up, and I'm gonna do 10 here, a little more glute dominant. It's making me thirsty hearing all this water slushing around. Perfect. 1 more. Beautiful. I definitely felt that in my glute. I hope you did too. I'm gonna go ahead and switch now. We've done our squat and our split squat or our lunge. Now I'm gonna take my, see, I'm out of breath. Can you believe it? I'm gonna take that jug of water and I'm gonna put that jug of water in my opposite hand. We're gonna go into that deadlift that I talked about, single leg. I'm gonna do the modified version. So this back leg, I'm just kickstanding that toe. I'm gonna bend this knee and I'm just going to push my hips back and forward. Hips go back, hips go forward. Keep that chest up, nice flat back. Keep that bend in the knee. It's really tempting to straighten it out. There we go, that was 10. So I'll turn around and I'll do the other leg. Same thing. Back leg is gonna kickstand. And I'm going to soften this knee. My hip is what's moving, nothing else. My hip goes back and forward. Abs are in tight. You're always tightening that core, keeping it tight. Awesome work. Keep that chest up, keep breathing. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna go ahead and set my water jug down. You can also make it more difficult if you want by doing the same thing, but adding some balance. So this leg is gonna come off of the floor. I'm gonna soften this knee. And as I move my hips back, I'm gonna reach forward and then my hips come forward. See, you caught me. I straightened that leg. I'm gonna try and keep it bent. Here, here. Now you can do a more straight leg version of that deadlift. It's gonna lengthen those hamstrings and get more in that low back. So you can decide. Last, we have our step up. Now again, I'm gonna use the water. Hopefully I don't drop it. I don't think I've done a step up with this water jug yet. My foot's gonna come up. I'm gonna use my glute to extend my hip. And I'm going to do 8 to 10. I'm gonna come up. Now I can choose to tap my toe. driving through that entire foot. Or I can balance my knee. Great. And then we're going to do the other side. Again, if you don't have a chair, just come from here. I'm going to count these as some of my reps. You can tap in or lift the knee. I'll finish on the chair, step up. Well, that one was a little wobbly. It's gonna happen, it's okay. That's all stabilization of the foot, ankle, and knee. Perfect. All right. And you can do that on a curb if you wanted to, or a park bench if you're out walking. All of these exercises you can do if you're walking outside. Walk briskly, find a park bench, or just stop right where you're at and start moving. People are going to stare at you, but it's probably because they wish they were doing it too. So we're going to do all of that again 4 times through. Or three more times. We already did it once. I'm not going to do it with you. I'm going to let you guys do that at home. You can write all of this down. I hope you did. This will give you a nice at-home workout. You can see I'm out of breath, so it works, even with just a water jug. I hope you guys are staying healthy and safe, and I hope you all have an amazing day. We'll see you again soon.